welcome to this webinar, which is called The Secrets of Mesmerizing an Audience. But you already knew that, right? So let's begin and see what I have in store for you guys. So what's the program of this webinar? First, I'm going to talk a little bit about myself, of course. Who am I? Why am I doing this? And so on. Secondly, we are going to talk about what to do before you are going to speak before an audience, whether it's for a webinar, on stage, a keynote, a speech, whatever. Then, of course, we are going to talk about what to do during the time that you are in front of an audience. And logically, also, what do you do after? That part is going to take about 60 minutes, about an hour. Then we have, of course, some Q&A, right? And finally, there are some extras. What are the extras? Well, the extras are for only these people who attend the webinar and stay to the end. There are some nice extras. The ones who subscribed through email will get the link to review the webinar, which as you will get too. But you guys will get something extra today. Yoo-hoo. Oh, all right. So, if you have some questions, write them down. So take something to write down so that you can do the questions at the end during the Q&A. I'm not going to do questions in between because it is already, the program is really full. And if we do questions during the program, it's going to take us so long. Thanks, Bart, for the reaction. Get yourself a drink, guys. I'm on water, but don't be afraid to get some wine or something. Get comfortable, right? Sit in your most comfortable chair. Cheers. Because although the program is really packed with a lot of good ideas, well, it has to be fun, right? And if you want to say something to me in the chat, just put your chat mode in everyone so that everybody can see your reaction or your question. So that's what you got to do before we really can get into it. Okay, I'm very excited to do this webinar, and so let's get moving. So about me, who am I? Well, I am Eddy Smits. I was educated as a teacher, so it started early on to speaking in front of an audience, mostly kids, but okay. But I only worked in a school for 1 year, and then I followed my passion, followed my dream, and started to do theater. I started to puppeteer theater in the early 90s, where I had my own company that played puppet theater in the early 90s. Soon it grew, and there was a part of entertainment that came along. I did comedy for adults, for children, etc. So the entertainment was there. I did that for I was a professional artist more than 20 years, professionally. And in these 20 years, I was a hospital clown for 10 years. This maybe was the most exciting time of my career, because not only my company grew and grew and grew, but through this clowning in hospital, I learned a lot about life, a lot about death. I gained a lot of insights. And after this period, I wrote a book, which is called Model C. And in this book, I describe which attitude you gotta have to be able to do the work as a hospital clown, and the things you can use from this attitude in real life or in your business, or to grow, to accelerate your personal growth. So that's what Model C is all about. Through Model C, I started to give keynotes, about the book, about Model C, which started me to speak before an audience. Before it was theater, it was clowning, but now it was getting serious. And now we are talking about 2012, 2015. So already some years ago. And through the book, through Model C, I really rolled into coaching. And since 2018, which is almost 2 years now, I'm fully a coach. I'm doing this full time. So that's a little bit my career until now. Now, to speak before an audience or to do something before an audience, no matter what, preparation is key, right? You can't go in front of an audience and just do something that doesn't work. Preparation is really key. Now, during this webinar, when I talking or doing something before an audience, I'm talking about keynotes, speeches, webinars, stage performance, no matter what. One-on-one is also talking in front of an audience. So sales is also a kind of talking in front of an audience. So whether it's one person or 1,000 persons, the things I'm going to discuss with you today are all usable. That doesn't mean you have to use it all at once and all together, but there are basic things you can use, whether you're a stage artist or you give speeches or you're a CEO or you present projects, no matter what. So research is key. The first time I learned that I really needed to do my research was when I was asked to do a session in a Belgian prison around Model C. So that was really a challenge, which I gladly took. And that started in 2015. I'm still doing it now. So you can imagine, to do that, you need some research. You need to know something about the people you're talking to. You need their age, you need their gender, their educational level, their occupation, a level of comprehending. You need all this before you are stepping in front of an audience. There's a big difference if you are doing something for CEOs or if you're doing something for, I don't know, for secretaries. It's a big difference. Now, the thing is, if you really know your trade and really know what you're talking about, it shouldn't matter. If your content is that strong and you're so in sync with what you are telling, then you could do it. But then you have to be really strong in your content, and then you have to be really strong in your performance. You could do it. Otherwise, it's always very good to do research. The people I have now on this webinar, I researched. I saw their Facebook, I saw their LinkedIn, so that I had a little bit of knowledge about what they are doing. Of course, this webinar is very open, so probably you will hear things that you knew already, but I guess there will also be new things for you. So that about knowing your audience. Very important. Okay, now how to connect, because that's important. You need to connect with your audience. Whatever you do, arrive early, right? Also, if you do stage or don't matter, arrive early, participate. What I want to say, if you are doing something on a stage or whatever, and there are like speakers before you or people that come before you, watch them too, because maybe they say something what you are going to say, or do something what you are going to do, right? And mingle with the audience. Get some taste of what is going on in your audience, right? Don't be afraid to mingle with them and connect with them, talk to them, just make their acquaintance. Maybe you can learn some things that you can use already in your speech or in your keynote or in your performance, whatever. And then this is one right out of Model C. That's use the 5 senses. And only using this thing, if you only remember this thing out of the webinar, this will I guarantee you that this will set you apart of other people who are doing something for an audience. Now you're saying, yeah, Eddy, I know that's all good and well, but what about a webinar? Well, arrive early is the same. Be prepared. I had somebody who is now on this webinar, half an hour ago, he turned in early and I quick talk with him. So I was there, and you can talk with him and people feel at ease, right? So webinar, exactly the same. Participate. That's what I was just telling you. Know your audience, participate, talk with them before, if there's the opportunity, of course, and really connect. So you can really connect. So how are you going to use the 5 senses? Well, I hope these things are also going to come back in the Q&A. Maybe you guys have some ideas, but if you saw the little movie that was playing while you were waiting for me, I suggested, you know, we have the sight, we see each other, we have the hear, we hear each other. But the taste, yeah, I hope you have a cup of coffee at this moment, or wine. So there's the taste. The smell, cup of coffee, there's the taste. You could even say, in advantage, get a candle which gives a smell, or whatever you want to do. So the more senses you can use, the more you connect with people. So that's one right out of Model C. Of course, we are still in the before, and you have to know your setting. Now, what do I mean with that? If there's a stage, is it big enough? Now, I know you can make a contract and put all these things in your contract, but I've been an artist for 20 years and nobody reads contracts, right? So check if the stage is okay, if it's big enough. I remember one time when there was a stage and I jumped right through the stage. I was luckily not to injure myself, and it was a clown's performance, so I could do my performance and everybody was laughing, and that's okay. But if you're doing a serious thing, you can lose your audience or you can hurt yourself. And so you really should check your stage. Don't use a table. Don't go standing behind the table. It will block your connection, right? Don't use a stand. You know, these stands with the microphone on and where they lay their paper, don't use it. Same thing, you lose connection. Check your environment. What do I mean with that? Can everybody see you? But also, what's the environment of the location? Maybe there's a nice park outside, so that's the reason why people are coming too late. So it's not only your little space that counts, but it's the global picture you need to know. Check where the toilet is, right? Because sometimes on stage, maybe you can see somebody standing up, looking, you can help them. Makes a great impression on people. And again, arrive early, right? And also here, use your senses, right? Try to put something extra in that they don't expect. With sense, with taste, give people a drink when they come in. I don't know, let them taste, give them, I don't know, some candy. Involve taste, involve other senses than only hearing and seeing. Still before, know your technical setting, right? Make sure the sound works. And I've had it hundreds of times. You come and you say, is there a microphone? Yeah, there's a microphone. Does it work? Yeah, it works perfectly. Don't trust it. Check it. If you use a screen or whatever, check if the image is good. Is there lighting? Can you dim the light in the room so that it's cozy, or maybe just the other way around? You need more light. So you really need to check that. And test it. Test your sound. Test everything, that it works. Is there a remote control if you use a PowerPoint? Does it work? In my case, I always bring my own. I just have a stick, a USB stick I put in. I always use my own. And I always have a set of battery extras. Always have it with me. And I always use my own computer. Projector, I trust that there is, but I always use my own computer if I do keynote speeches or whatever. I've heard all the excuses, but I still use my own computer. Yeah, but there are people before you and we have one computer and give us just a USB stick, we put it up. Don't trust it. Only trust your own computer, then it works. Because in my case, I work with Apple, and that can already be a problem. Make sure that you have your switches, etc., etc., etc. So make sure technically everything works before you start. So again here, arrive early. I am sure you heard about the KISS principle, right? Keep it stupidly simple. That is what you should do if it concerns technical things. Keep it simple. The simpler you keep it, the less that it will break down, the less chance you have that it will break down. So keep it really simple. But also for your props, if you use things, keep them simple, keep them small, right? Keep your techniques simple. If you can do a presentation without a microphone, do it without a microphone, right? Even if there's a microphone that you can use, even if it's the latest technology, if you can do it without, do it without. If the group is no bigger than 20, 30 people, even maybe 50, you can easily speak without a microphone. But check it. Check how the room gets your voice, right? Don't use specific terms, unless, of course, you're invited to speak about specific terms for a very, very select audience. Use normal language. You don't know which people there are in front of you. Yeah. You don't want to come off as, you don't want to show off. Just use normal language. The great word the great sentence to keep in mind here is simplicity is really king. Simpler you can do it, the better it is. Yeah. Now, what about a webinar? You're asking me. Okay, check if your sound is okay. I checked your sound when we began, but I always also checked it. I logged in with somebody else more than half an hour before the webinar, and I checked if everything was okay. It's important. Same with the image, same with the lights. Nowadays, you can get really nice lighting to do webinars, and that's great. But you can't do it without it. Again, here, the less technical things, the better. But if you want to do it with extra light, do it. It's really nice, right? Background. Don't make your background too, that there's everything to see. Keep it simple, or even a clear background. I never advise, what's this background, this alternative back, I can't find the word. I never advise that, to use these backgrounds, they move, and like the bridge of San Francisco and stuff. I wouldn't do that, but you could, but only when you have a green key, because otherwise your body will, it's really strange then. So that's the thing in a webinar, and it's preferable that you stand. You can sit down, but it will give you much more energy than when you stand. You know, in a webinar, it's really hard to connect because there is much, you can't really do much interface. Although I had a webinar and where I said to everybody, okay, let your sound on, let me see you, and just react. It depends. If you can do that, and if you have the time for people to react, do it. If not, don't. But try to stand. Position your camera right. Try to get your camera at the same height as your eyes. I see a lot of webinars, a lot of people who look down in the camera, and looking down in the camera is looking down on your audience, looking down on you. And yeah, make sure you are just in front of your camera. Okay, so that's about the webinar. And of course, again, test it before you do it. Now, if you prepare, if your preparation is good, you build confidence, right? If you're starting to do things for an audience, or even when you're even when you're a professional artist, you have to keep your confidence high. And the more your preparation is done, the more preparation you do, the more your confidence will grow. Of course, you need to practice, right? Something that really helps is to imagine doing it. They did a test in America with basketball players, right? So imagine or visualize to shoot basketballs through a hoop. And it had two groups where the first group really had a ball and they practiced with the ball. And the second group was practicing like I'm doing it now, without a ball, just visualizing and seeing and scoring each time. After a few days, they did the test and the result was equal. So the players who used the real ball didn't score better or worse than the players that had the imaginary ball. So if you imagine yourself doing it, you're rehearsing, right? Or you use a test audience. Can be your best friends, can be your wife, can be your children, doesn't matter. If you just practice it, okay. Of course, you can film yourself. It's always good that you see yourself doing things. Of course, you can learn the most of that, but it's not the same as practicing for an audience, of course. And it's completely normal to be fearful. If you're in front of an audience for the first time or haven't got the experience, it's perfectly normal, but it's not necessary. It's a fear we have from prehistoric age that in those times you had to belong to the group and put yourself in the group, then you were safe. When you put yourself outside the group, wild animals could come and could snatch you or kill you. So the longer you stayed in the group, the safer you are. And that's in fact what you are doing when you're speaking in front of an audience or you're on stage or whatever. You set yourself outside of the group. So it's normal to be fearful. But again, it's not necessary. Okay, we're still preparing, guys. What do you do the night before? Because a lot of people that perform, they say, oh, I'm so nervous and I can't sleep. And okay, there are some things you can do. First of all, be ready. If you have a presentation or whatever, the next day, even if it's in the evening, be ready the day before. Totally ready. Don't go and do things the same day. That's reserved for sometimes when things go wrong, but not to do your, let's say, homework or your work. Be ready. And make it a routine. Do the same routine every time you go to a webinar or you go to a stage performance or you go to a speech, etc., etc. If you build routine, it will calm yourself down and you will have a good night's sleep. This is the big thing, laugh. And if you can't laugh with something, put on some comedy or some YouTube videos, whatever, and laugh. It will relax yourself, trust me. Again, visualize. Visualize that you are going to do well. See yourself on stage, doing the webinar, giving a keynote, doing a speech, and see yourself doing it with great success. Do this before you go to bed. And have gratitude. Be grateful. Hey, I can do that. I can speak in front of people. I can teach people something. Wow, be grateful for that. That's beautiful if you can do that. And of course, positive thinking. You're not going to say, oh no, tomorrow, oh, it's going to be bad and probably there's going to be something wrong and oh no. Oh, it's going to be great. You can do a Donald Trump there, right? Oh, it's going to be great. I'm going to be the greatest. Yeah, but be positive, right? We are still preparing. This is what I call colorful performance. And it's something I picked up out of HR. These things are used there. Maybe you've heard about MBTI, Insights, Management Drives, DISC, TEAL. These are all tools they use in HR to like categorize people so that they know how they react in communication, when they are listening, etc., etc. And it helps to keep this in mind when you are preparing for going before an audience, when you're preparing your lecture or your speech or your stage performance, whatever. The thing I have here is from management drives, but all these systems are alike. They are based on the same studies, and mostly Carl Jung, if you know him, but it works. It really works. I worked with it in HR, and it's good to know this as a background and to see if you can use it in what you are preparing. Now, what are these colors? I'm just going to do very quick so you have a little bit of an idea. Green. Now these colors, they are not, mostly they are the same in each each system, like insights and BTI is letters. So, but the types are the same. Maybe the color varies, but the type of people is the same. So if you are green, green puts people and social relations first. So if you want to connect with these people, you have to have some human touch in your performance before your audience. You have to speak about we once in a while, not I'm going to or you're going to do. No, we. The we feeling is very important for this kind of people. And you have to sometimes show your feelings and emotion. Then you have their attention. They will connect, right? Now, what about the color yellow? They want to analyze, understand, and explore in depth. So if you want to connect with this kind of people, you have to be creative. Do some creative things, right? Use some creative videos. Use a creative start, etc., etc. You have to be creative to connect with these. Let them ask questions, discuss with them. They love to do that. In Q&A, these people will always ask questions. They will even stop your performance to ask questions. And if it's allowed, then let them ask questions because they like it. You connect with them and they want to know the why. So tell them why you do certain things or they should do certain things if you want to connect with these guys and girls. And show them the total picture. They want to see the total picture. They don't like to see fragments of things. They want to see the total picture so they know the real why. That's yellow. Then orange, they want to show progress, results, and achievements. So how do you connect with these people? They are asking what's in it for me. So the extras I'm giving you, the orange will say, ooh, I get extras, right? Can I win something? Can I get something? Orange people will love it. If you play a game or you give some prizes away, they'll love it because they are very competitive and they want to win and they want to get something. They also want to be in the spotlight. So if you know people in the room or whatever, in a webinar, address them. They'll love it, right? Now, blue wants to create certainty and clarity. What do we do to connect with these people? Easy. Give them structure. You saw in the beginning of the webinar, I gave the structure so that you can know what we are doing. We are now, I number my things. We are now number 2. That's structure. They love it. Put in some figures and statistics if you can. They will love it. Make sure you have a timetable. Also, I said that in the beginning of the webinar, it's going to take an hour before Q&A. Then they know, they love it, right? They want it. You will have their attention. And then the red, it stands for daring, speed, and strength. So if you want to connect with these people, you gotta keep the pace going. You gotta keep the pace going. You gotta be to the point because otherwise you will lose them. And you have to show leadership and how would you say this word? Hierarchy. I don't know. Read it. I really don't know. Okay. So what does that mean is that if you're speaking before an audience and you have some CEOs, you have some important people, just address them. They like it when you address them, when you start your speech or when you start your keynote, or when you start your performance. If you are in between audience, start with that table. You know, they love it. So you saw, as I discussed 5 colors, because that are the groups that are coming back in each of these systems, in each of these HR programs. Sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's 5, doesn't matter, but these things are sometimes really interesting to see if all these things are in your performance. And if they're not, you can put them in easily, right? Now, we are moving on to just before you start. Still not starting, right? Still not starting. What do you do just before you start? Well, relax your body, stretch. If you feel nervous or you feel agitated, stretch, right? Relax, stretch your body. Don't drink caffeine. Drink citrus, right? Orange juice, apple juice, etc. You can hum. It's good for your voice, and it decreases stress. Right? Use a chewing gum, but don't forget to throw it away before you go on stage or before you speak to the audience. Of course, using a chewing gum will calm you down. And if you're into it, meditate. Why not? If you have a little place behind the stage or in a little room where you dress up or whatever, you can meditate. When you're driving in the car, I don't know, you can, right? Just before you start, you are still there. Stay focused. Put your phone off. Half an hour before you go in front of an audience. Stay focused. Listen to your favorite songs. Very good. And you can also use that song to go on stage. That you are in a flow. People will like it. They will clap. They will choose a good song, of course. Don't use classical music. Or you can, really, as long as it's rhythmic and people start clapping, right? Take a walk. If there's some place outside to go in nature to have a walk, take a walk, why not? And again here, laugh. Right? Tell some jokes to people, laugh with people, get yourself relaxed. And a really very important point, and I got that also out of Model C, is don't judge people. You know, sometimes when you want to do something, or like even in a webinar, and you get some people in the webinar, you say, they are boring people, or they are this, or they are that. Don't judge them before, because people feel it, and you react in a certain way. Your body language speaks in a certain way. So make sure you don't judge them. Okay? And you can manipulate your mental state. It's easy. If you don't feel happy, if you don't feel right, if you don't feel good, you can change it. As a hospital clown, we need to do that all the time, because we went into a room, sometimes it's really bad, with children that are practically dying, etc. And after that, we had to go to the next room. So we had to put our mental state back to neutral, and vice versa too. We had a really good laugh, hey, right, cool, wow, high five, good room. Went to the next, and there was the child that was practically dying. So get your state in a neutral stand. And you can do it. It's just being aware of it and doing it. Now, something that really helps, and you can do it everywhere, and now I can't see you, but that's okay, but I really invite you to stand up wherever you are. Just stand up, and you see the pose there. It's like the Superman pose. So you just make your fists, you move your feet a little bit out of each other, like, I don't know, the same height as your shoulder. You just breathe in and breathe out. And if you are doing this now, you will feel that this gives you a certain feel of trust, a certain feel of, I can do this. And that's normal because it increases 20% testosterone. Also with women. Women also have testosterone, by the way. And this pose decreases stress for 25% because it decreases the stress hormone cortisol. 25%. That's a lot, guys. So let's do it. Stand like Superman. Look up. You can change the world. If you didn't do it now, really, you should do it later, but you should have done it now. I can't see you, but you should have done it. Now, somebody you probably know, and if you don't know him, I advise you to just Google the guy, Tony Robbins, and he has this trick he uses in his performances. He does performances for 10,000 people in one time. Not kidding. And you can also do that now if you want. So he puts some music, he puts his hands in the air. You have to jump, and while you are jumping, you have to go really berserk. If you do that for 10 seconds, I'll do it for 3. Yeah! You know the thing. I feel it. I already feel pumped up now. I just did it 2 seconds. If you do that for 10 seconds and test it out now, or maybe if your wife is looking, don't do it because she will rattle, but test it out, because after 10 seconds, you will feel literally the adrenaline pumping through your life, through your body, sorry. You'll really feel it shaking your body. It will tinkle. It will, just do it. It's magical, really, not kidding. Okay, so finally, we have arrived at the point that you are going to start. The most important thing is that you are the boss. You command your audience, always. Now, to do that, you have to kill stage fear. That's something you can even. I'll give you a little trick. You know, if you are feeling fear to go on stage, the feeling is the same as excitement. So if you change your mental thought through, hey, that's not fear, I'm excited. I'm excited to go on stage. I'm excited to do a webinar. I'm excited to do a keynote. It's the same feeling. So it's a little trick for you there. Use a quote. Always works. Humor also always works. Though you have to be careful and you have to know your audience, but it always works. We're going to get back on humor in a while. Make a difference. If there are 3 people before you do something totally different to come on stage. Don't do the same as them. Make a difference. Wow the audience, right? Or use somebody else to do a warming up for you. That's what a lot of people do, so that the audience is in really good mood, and then you come on stage, or then you do your thing, right? And think of your body pose. And while we are in this body pose thing, I'll give you some things about body language. I don't know if you feel it, or you experience it, but I'm trying to give you as much information as I can. I know maybe it's going too fast, but I really believe that the things that I'm telling you is out of experience of what I did. I'm not telling you guys something that I didn't try out. And I'm really keen to explore it all. I know it's a very short time, 1 hour, but still, I know that most of the things I covered. But body language, of course, I should cover. Be self-aware. Know what you are doing. Again, film yourself. Breathe. By the way, if you do a lot of stage performance, you gotta be physical, very good. You have to be in top condition because it's sport, right? Make sure your shoulders are straight, like this, right? Because then you hear already my voice is, no, open up. Whatever you do, is it a webinar, is it a one-on-one? Also, it's the rules are the same, guys. 1 person, 1,000 persons, webinars, keynotes, stage performances, doesn't matter, right? Sync your verbal and your non-verbal language. So if I do this, sync your verbal, yeah, that's be consistent in what you do and say and connect with your words. Know what you are saying. State what you are saying. Know what you are doing. And of course, here you can film yourself. I said that before. You can even search for your own power posture, right? You can do something that's new, like why do I forget his name though? The Jamaican runner, you know, the lightning he does, right? It's this thing. You could do something like that, of course. Now, we are at engaging audience. The title was connecting, the title was content is good, but connection is better. Now, a few things you can always do in when you are before an audience, knowing that you are in charge, right? You take leadership from the start, but you have to be warm and inviting, right? Don't be like a drill sergeant. That's not necessary, but you have to be in charge. You're not their friends. You're not their friend. It is like that, guys. Tell your story. Use real things. People love stories. Everybody loves stories, right? And let them see you as you are. You are a human being. You make mistakes. Let them see it. It's no problem. That's how you connect, right? Be authentic. Be yourself. Even if you are in character, even if you are on stage in a character, you still need to be yourself. You still need to be authentic. If you watch Mr. Bean and Rowan Atkins, which is the actor who plays Mr. Bean, he has the same little tics and the same little things as Mr. Bean. Only Mr. Bean exaggerates it. If you see Sacha Baron, right, like in an Ali G or one of his characters, and you see the real actor in the interview, you see the same things coming back. They stay themselves and they play something else, but they stay true to themselves. That's really important. That's how you connect. This is also, and I experienced this a lot, is that you don't be afraid to let your unconscious mind take over. Now, sometimes when I did a performance, I had one show that I did like more than 1,000 times. And sometimes I went on stage and at some points, everybody was clapping and I really didn't know what I did in between. It's the same as driving a car, right? If you learn to drive a car, you have to put it in gear and you have to do something with your feet, you have to steer, you have to watch the traffic. But at some point, you can do everything while driving a car. You can talk to somebody, you can listen to music, you can have somebody on the phone. So that's the same thing which should happen if you are in front of an audience and you are doing the same thing over and over again. It's good. Let your mind take over. That's no problem. You won't get an accident if you drive like that. You know? Be in the moment. If something happens, you should be in the moment. You should react and you should respond. Accept that something can go wrong. Just accept it. However well you are prepared, things can always go wrong. But anticipate it, love it. You know, if someone heckles you from the audience, or if something falls off, something doesn't work, love it. If you love it, it can't hurt you, and the audience will love it, right? And again, you don't have to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, but you have to be passionate. If you are passionate, then you connect. And if you are connected, then you can bring something, and you can mesmerize the audience. Only when you are passionate about the things that you are talking about. And of course, you need to pace down sometimes, slow down, have a pause. That's my difficulty. Sometimes I'm so excited that I move too fast, but it's good to slow down. The best trick there is, well, it's not a trick, it's something that works. If you want to speak in front of an audience, you go on stage, don't say a word before everybody shuts up. And sometimes it can take a long time, and they test you. They will test you. But don't say a word before you can hear a mouse walk into the room. If you do that, you, for 100%, you gain the audience already. Don't be an asshole and do like, look at them angry. Or, no, just go and stand about, smile, let them do their things until they shut up from themselves. Sometimes it's quick, 1-2 minutes. Sometimes you need to wait 5 minutes. That's okay. Try it out. And make sure your hands are in sync, right? It's not the Italian way of using your hands too much. Make sure they're in sync. I'm excited, guys. I'm really, truly excited for this webinar. If you are excited yourself, it's a vibe you give at your audience. So be excited. Be grateful that you can do this. Be excited. Activate your audience. I'm not activating you enough. I know that, but there's a point to it, because I really want to be over it in the hour. So I really need to speed up. How can you do that? You can let them clap their hands. You can let them raise your hands. Hey, are you feeling this? Hey, did you experience that? And so on and so on. Let them raise their hands. Dance, why not? Sing, jump. Tony Robbins, right? Give high fives. So activate your audience. How do you do this in a webinar? Clap your hands, applause. You can do that. Hey, let's hear it for if you have a discussion, right? Raise hands. You can do it like this, or yeah, thanks, Bart. Or you can do it digital. So whatever you do, dance. You can dance. I followed a webinar lately, and he just said, hey, we're going to count something, do something. I'm going to put up some music for you. And you saw the people in the cameras, not in the beginning, but after half a minute. It was a really good song. I forgot, this Big Dynamite or something. And they were really dancing. So why not? You can sing, you can jump. You can use a chat box to get people engaged. It's all possible, right? You can turn on video and sound so that you can see people. I did webinars with and without. It just depends on what you want to do with them, right? But here again, start from the beginning and be the boss and say, okay, this is what you're going to do. Please mute, please unmute, etc. Take charge. But the biggest secret to audience, of one of the biggest, is use these 5 senses. Vision. Yeah. That's normal. Everybody sees the things and everybody hears things. But what about touching? Okay. You can touch even your screen. You can touch your mouse. That's also touching, right? Smelling, right? In an audience, try to do something with it. Try. Tasting. Food is taste. Drink is taste, right? So how do you do this in a webinar? And we can, in the Q&A, we can even debate about it. There are a lot of things you can do, right? You can get your people in the mood. You can, once you own them and you take charge, you can go and ask them, hey, go and get a cup of coffee. Go and do this. Hey, I give you 1 minute. We put on some music. Go and do something, right? If it's a webinar for 1 hour, it's okay. But If it takes longer, do these things. You're really engaged and you connect. Okay, what do we do on stage, right? Stage performing is, yeah, it's something unique. It's something you love or hate. I always loved it, and everybody should love it. If you are before an audience, I think it's one of the greatest things you can do. It's an addiction, right? But here are some things. Think about your posture. Never move without a reason on stage. It's not necessary to have these speakers who are constantly doing. You get crazy. You get crazy. Don't move unless you have a reason. Never show your back, right? And the positioning is very important. Where do you stand on stage? There's an extra for you in this about positioning. If you stay until the end, a really cool extra, by the way. You have to be in control of yourself and your audience. Again, you are the boss, whatever happens. And you have to be inviting with questions, right? When you get questions, that's good, but because then you have connection with your audience, right? Don't use a stand and use eye contact. Even if there are 1,000 people in the room, just point somebody, don't point them out, just look somebody in the eye once in a while, for 3 to 5 seconds, it will connect. This is something I learned not so long ago from a course that I followed myself, is the inviting hands. Now, if you are on stage and you say, okay, can you come, please? Don't point to people. Say always with the open hand, can you come? Can you do this? So if your gesture is an open hand, it's inviting, it's not aggressive. Don't point at people. Say, hey, you, right? Always open hand. Something I learned not so long ago. It's very nice to know. Personalize. Of course, you need to personalize, right? It's you. So, and everybody is unique in the room. So make them feel unique. If something goes wrong, just keep on going. The audience doesn't know. Only you know. If you stop and say, oh, sorry, I did forget this, I did forget that. Why? Because your audience doesn't know if things goes wrong, if you're forgetting something. They don't know. They only will know if you stop. Right? And the biggest thing on stage, but probably in life, is smile. Make your own dopamine. Smile at your audience. Smile when you start. Smile as often as you can to your audience. I said that I came back to this topic and the topic humor. If you are familiar with it, and if you want to use it, if you feel confident to use it, use it. With humor, you can achieve everything, but it can be tricky too, right? For example, you need to know your audience, you need to know yourself, and you have to build up slowly, right? If you go too fast or too sharp at once, it can turn against you. So it's good, but it's tricky, right? So I have something for you, a little clip, and I want to show so you can have a laugh yourself, right? Here we go. Here we go.
Il n'y a rien qui fait? Oui, j'ai du feu. Vous me l'attendez, s'il vous plaît. Excusez-moi, vous pourriez la tenir 1 minute? Bien sûr. Désolé, j'ai fini. Ah, c'est bon, allez-y. J'ai terminé. Moi aussi.
Okay. I love this clip. Probably you knew it or you saw it before, but I think it's good. And just to have a laugh, something. Almost there, guys. Anticipate questions, right? That's what I did too. I anticipate because I love questions. And don't pretend you know it all, guys. Pre-propose that there are questions. Get back to people. Say, oh, I can't address you now. I'll get back to you. And go back, of course. Even after the seminar, or even do an email, but don't forget to go back. Move it to another time. You need to be a student of your own craft. Learn. You can learn from your audience, and you have to be open from your audience, right? So you can continuously improve. That's the thing. Start and improve, right? Okay, we had 4, almost there. Yeah. Probably going to make it. Where the money is, right? So let's see where the money is. Give a call to action, right? Hey, if you think this is interesting, give me a call, give me an email. You learn about me now, right? Of course, you need to thank the audience. You have to give you your business cards, right? Of course, you have to do that. And also stir emotions. It's a good thing before you leave that you stir some emotions. You make them laugh, you make them cry, you make them wonder. These emotions, don't scare them. You can, but I wouldn't. Or end with a powerful quotation. Right? Because that's really where the money is. Ask for feedback. Feedback is always good. Even negative feedback, doesn't matter. We can learn. And also in the end, keep your high energy. If someone walks up to you and say, hey, do you have a business card? Yeah, I have it somewhere. No. Be as excited as through the whole thing. Keep your energy level high, right? Ask them what they have learned. You are going to learn more from that question than your audience. Ask them what they are grateful for, right? Same thing here. Tell them what their next step is. Maybe you can say, hey, I've got some other program. If you can book me for this or that, or what's the next step, right? How can they apply it in their life? See? Exactly 1 hour. Yay. Give me an applause. Exactly. Okay. I hope, guys, I didn't rush it too much, but it's okay. So if you have some questions, if you put something in writing or just some questions that pop into your head, I'm happy to address them. Yes, what?
Not really a question, but I liked your 5 senses tips in the beginning of your webinar. No, I do have a question. I was looking for your book. It's not available anymore. What is it?
But what I'm going to do, and this is an extra above the extra, because you're in the webinar, I'm going to send the PDF to you because I have a new version out, but this is the version of 2012, and I have a new one out that I rewrote it, or I made it better. I think, I hope, in 2019, but I only have that digital, the 2019 version. But I'm going to send it. Do you want it in Dutch or English? Or both?
Dutch, yeah.
No problem. I'll send it to you together with the other extras you have.
Okay, great. No questions. You were very clear. Thank you.
Oh, it's my pleasure. So what are the extras? Interesting stuff. So those are the extras that I will give you guys because you were so, because you held on until the end. So the only thing I need to say now is to thank you for being here. I had some people who wanted to join and got their email, so they will get the presentation seminar, the video, but the guys who were here today will get all the extras. If you have additional questions, if you want to contact me, please do. I will help you with pleasure. If you want me professionally, I can help you too. I can coach stage things. I can review speeches, etc., etc. So you can always contact me for that. But no matter what, contact me Okay. Thank you for attending this webinar. I hope you have a nice continuation of the evening, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.